They call it the ghost money, the perfect currency for the digital age. It promised freedom, anonymity, a financial system built on code, not trust. For years, the criminal underworld believed Bitcoin was their ultimate shield, a digital black mask. They were wrong. The digital footprints they thought they were erasing, they were actually carving them into stone, a ledger, open for the entire world to read. And in the world of cybercrime documentary, that ledger, that blockchain, is our crime scene. Every transaction, every single one, it's all there. The question isn't whether the money moved. The question is, who moved it tonight? We follow the invisible thread, diving deep into the world of Bitcoin tracing. This is the high-stakes, hyper-technical hunt that turns pseudonymous digital wallets into cold, hard arrests. This is where the code meets the cop. Our story begins in the aftermath of a digital catastrophe. A sprawling, global logistics firm, we'll call it Global Freight, hit by a devastating ransomware attack. This wasn't some simple phishing email scam. This was a targeted, professional hit. The company's entire operational spine, locked, freight schedules, inventory, payroll, blacked out. The ransom demand was simple, elegant, and chilling. $4 million in Bitcoin. And there was a timer. When a corporation is facing ruin, when the lights are off and the clock is ticking, sometimes they pay. Global Freight did. They transferred the required $4 million, converted into a specific quantity of Bitcoin, to a single 34-character alphanumeric string. The criminal's wallet address. The decryption key arrived. The company was saved. The criminal vanished. Case closed. Not for the agents of the FBI's cyber division, or the specialists at Interpol, because when it comes to Bitcoin, a successful ransom payment is just the opening chapter of the investigation. The key to cracking this case wasn't hacking the criminals. It was reading their financial ledger. We call it following the money. But in the digital world, it's closer to following the data. So let's pause the hunt for a moment. To understand how they get caught, you have to understand the foundational flaw in the criminal's plan. The blockchain. Bitcoin is not truly anonymous. It is pseudonymous. Think of it like a public party where everyone wears a mask. The wallet address. You don't know the person's real name, but every move they make is recorded in the party log. The blockchain. This is the fundamental difference from cash. You spend cash, the trail dies. You spend Bitcoin, and you create an indelible, verifiable record of the transaction amount, the time, and the sending and receiving addresses. The real work of tracing, what forensic firms like Chainalysis and Elliptic specialize in, is called clustering. A criminal doesn't just use one address. They use hundreds, sometimes thousands. But when they spend Bitcoin, they often consolidate the funds from multiple addresses into a single transaction. This is the cryptographic giveaway. It's like a criminal walking into a store and paying with 10 different wallets. The investigator knows, cryptographically, that all 10 wallets belong to the same person. They have now clustered a massive web of pseudonymous addresses into a single, traceable entity. The analyst traced the initial $4 million ransom. It moved fast. It was immediately broken up into smaller chunks, a process called peeling, and sent to dozens of new addresses to obscure the source. But the trail didn't go cold, because, eventually, they always have to clean the money. They have to convert the ghost money back into real-world currency, fiat. And to do that, they have to touch the real world. The vast majority of mainstream cryptocurrency exchanges today comply with Know Your Customer, or KYC, and anti-money laundering, or AML, laws. When the clustered criminal funds eventually flowed into one of these exchanges, that was it. The fatal handshake. The exchange, legally obligated, had already collected the user's real name, email, phone number, and government ID before they allowed the criminal to liquidate the Bitcoin into dollars, euros, or yen. The investigators didn't need to hack the criminal's hard drive. They just needed a warrant for the exchange's customer data. The pseudonymous address was now definitively linked to a physical person. With a name and a location, this methodical de-anonymization is why the FBI was able to recover millions of dollars in the notorious Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack. They tracked the funds until the criminal made a mistake. This technique, coupled with sophisticated graph analysis, is the modern equivalent of fingerprinting a bank robber for the global freight case. The breakthrough came 6 weeks later. The traced funds, now clustered into a single entity, were finally funneled through a second-tier European exchange. The KYC data didn't immediately match the hacker's known alias, but it did match a registered user named Alexei Sidorov, operating out of a small apartment complex just outside St. Petersburg. The investigation moved from the digital frontier to the real world. International cooperation, Interpol alerts, and local law enforcement confirmed Sidorov's identity. He was a known figure in the Eastern European cyber underground, a ghost who thought his mask of Bitcoin code was unbreakable. The arrest was swift, quiet, and decisive. Sidorov was caught not because his code was weak, but because his OPSEC, his operational security, failed the moment he tried to spend his ill-gotten gains. He forgot the golden rule of this new frontier. The blockchain never forgets. The consequences of this digital pursuit are seismic. The ability to trace Bitcoin has fundamentally shifted the balance of power. From the dark depths of the Silk Road marketplace, which was brought down partly by tracking its Bitcoin transactions, to global operations targeting terror financing, Bitcoin tracing is the spearhead of modern cybercrime documentary and investigation. It is, quite simply, the end of the line for the anonymous criminal on the open web. Sidorov's story is a cautionary tale for the criminal, but it also contains vital lessons for you, the everyday user, the cryptocurrency enthusiast, and anyone operating in this digital world. If investigators can trace millions in a high-stakes ransomware attack, what does that mean for your personal privacy? Here are the key takeaways for securing your own financial data and digital life. First, the power of separation. Never use a wallet or an exchange that handles your personal savings for any kind of suspicious or unknown transaction. Keep your funds segmented. The less cross-pollination between addresses, the harder it is to cluster your assets. Second, embrace private transactions when necessary. If privacy is your primary concern, learn about tools like CoinJoin or Lightning Network transactions. These tools are designed to break the input-output link that traditional tracing relies on. But be warned, regulatory scrutiny is often heavy on these kinds of privacy tools. Third, the KYC barrier. Understand that any exchange that requires your ID is a custodial choke point. If you interact with it, your pseudonymous wallet address becomes associated with your real name. This is the unavoidable trade-off for convenience and ease of conversion to fiat money. Finally, beware of social engineering. The most sophisticated tracing tool is often human failure. Criminals often succeed not by hacking the blockchain, but by using social engineering, or deceiving you, or phishing, or impersonating a trusted entity to get you to send them your coins directly. The human element is always the weakest link. The digital world is a game of calculated risk and recorded history. The blockchain is the definitive record of that history. The tools of anonymity are fading. The light of transparency is winning. And every criminal who thinks they've found the perfect ghost money is leaving a trail that the digital sleuth can follow. Understand the ledger. Understand the trace. That's how you stay ahead. Stay safe. Stay anonymous. This is the Digital Sleuth.